yeah, so we prepared all the ingredients. I mean, we did, but so for miso ramen, right? Like we have a lot of different types of ingredients, and then like yeah. So this is ramen flour, right? Ramen flour, usually high in protein content, like compared to other types of flours, like udon flour, like around 11%, right? And then that's egg white, right? So that's not good for the like vegan diet, but like it's halal, so like we're gonna use it. Then gluten, right? So gluten is just pure gluten, like that's extract of like the wheat flour, and then this is the pansy, this is the salt, right? And then this is the pigment that you are going to add to color the dough to bright yellow. And so today we are using this noodle machine. It's called Richmond Gold machine, and it's an all-in-one machine, right? All-in-one machine, and um, yeah, and it has this. It's a small commercial noodle machine, and it has this 10 kilograms mixer, right? 10 kilograms mixer, and it can mix up to like 10 kilograms of solid ingredients. And the minimum batch is like four, right? 4 kilograms of solid ingredients. So we're doing four for this demo, right? And so we put like all the solid ingredients in there, and we're going to start it. We're going to start it, right? And then just gonna mix it. All the solids, right? Remember the ramen flour and gluten and egg white powder. Okay, so now Megumi is making the solution, like it's liquid with the salt, tansy, and the pigment, right? So it's gonna be this kind of like orange colored liquid that's gonna go into the yeah, that's gonna go into the mixer and get mixed with the dough, the flour. Yeah, so like this Richmond Gold machine is designed for anybody, anybody like with no experience at all, like to be able to like make um, noodle making artisan level noodles, and yeah, so like it just removes like all the guesswork, like all the processes that like need to be need some skills to execute, right? And so while we mixing and making the dough, right? It's just waiting, right? So so to yeah, to like skip ahead, like he made me made the dough in advance, and so she put the dough in the plastic bag, right? And then so that was the resting she was doing, right? It's the resting process after mixing. And look at this dough, right? Like the color, that's very like, bright yellow color, right? And this dough is like I said like 36%, 37%, like hydration ratio, right? Like amount of liquid, like that's added to the flour. That's fairly um, the amount of liquid that's added to the flour to make this dough. But so you're going to first, yeah, make a sheet of dough. Just gonna this is just crumbs of dough, and then you're going to feed it to the roller, right? Feed it to roller, and then make a sheet of dough, right? Make a sheet of dough, and so yeah, this is the part like this, machine is very good at, like, just kind of, well, automatic, right? Automatically winding the dough into rolling pin, right? So like, and then just feeding itself is just automatic, right? And then so once you place the dough like in the conveyor or dough hopper, you don't have to do anything. You just set it, and you can't forget it, but like just set it, right, and then the machine does it for you. Um, and then oh, what happened, right? So Mimi kind of waved her hand like this like uh, it's like kind of, well, there's a sensor like you can't see, but like there's an invisible like beam, like curtain light going, right? So that like when you wave your hand or like try to put your hand in there, like it just stops, right? It just stops. This is one of the like most advanced like safety features, that's well installed in the commercial making machines. And so like if you try to put your hand in there, to do some work or something like that, like yeah, the machine stops. And so that's the curtain light sensor system. Okay, so that was the first process, and like so what we basically made was like a rough sheet of dough, and then we're making we want to, because this dough is still fragile, right? So we want to make it stronger, more firm. To do that, we want to separate it, right? We want to separate it into two sheets, and yeah, what we want to do is like we want to combine them, right? Combine like these two separate sheets into one through the roller. So like we are going to feed it. We're going to feed it to the roller. Yeah, and then as you can see, like there are some kind of breaks and like some holes, right, in the dough, and that's normal. And because like we force that, crumbs, right, crumbs dough into the roller, and then like kind of force them into like this sheet of dough, right? So they're still rough, but we're going to make them firm by combining them. So just basically what you need to do is like we just need like kind of the first like edge of the dough, like wind it onto the rolling pin, and then like it just does it automatically. The rest of it just is done by the machine automatically. So basically you don't have to be there. Like you can just like, well, probably like you know the, good thing is like you're not have to be engaged like all the time, right? Like you have like some small chores like tasks like on the side, and like while the machine is doing this job, right, for you, you can do other things, um, so that's one thing, right? So combining process, and so you maybe will like notice that like, well, the dough that's coming out, right, the other side is looks smoother, right, smoother, with no holes, no breaks, definitely smoother, and it's getting stronger with better gluten structures being formed through this process of combining, right? And and we want to do like another round of this combined process just to make sure that it's yeah, the dough is like strong enough, like the those has like strong enough like gluten structure inside, right? And what like we just made it was like just well turn on the duster. Duster is like well position on the rear of the machine and like it start dusting, right? Just start dusting and actually right now like the conveyor belt is like actually moving, right? So that that it's sending the dusting powder, right? Dusting powder like to the front. And so when this dough gets combined, right? They're like into one sheet, and the this sheet gets the you know gets dusted, right? Gets dusted by like on the but like the only the outer side of the dough, right? Outer surface of the dough gets dusted, not the inner sides, not the inner sides. Like inner sides are getting like well combined together, right? So that they're like they're combined well, but like on the outer side, right? Outer side is still like it's getting dusted because like from this one like we don't want this dough to be stuck together. Okay, so that's a dough that's gone through the second combining process. So after second combine process, right? Like or after the combine process, um, yeah, we'll just like thin it, right? We'll just thin it to the final thickness, and yeah, but like we can't really thin it like drastically. We can't go from like 3 millimeter to 1 millimeter or something because that would just like damage the gluten structure. We worked so hard to like develop so far, right? And so we want to go gradually, thin it a little by little, and then yeah. So we've been doing this, yeah, the like following the rule of like 30% reduction rule. So like every round of seeding, like we just thin it like at the 30%, uh, yeah, thinner, right? Like we just thin it like by 30%, like from previous like thickness. So when it was like 3 millimeter, right? We thin it at like 2 millimeter next round. It's like 30% less thicker, right? And so yeah, 3 millimeter to 2 millimeter, and 2 millimeter from 2 millimeter to 1.5 millimeter, right? And then yeah, and then like when the dough is thin enough, right? Um, to the point where like okay, we can start cutting it, right? We can start cutting like we can start cutting into little strands. Then yeah, we want to like measure the actual thickness, right? Actual thickness though, because even though like we are thinning it at like 1.5 millimeter right now, the actual thickness is always bigger, because it's we're talking about dough, right? Like gluten dough like powered by gluten, and it always expands, right? Expands after it goes through the roller gap and bounces back, right? And so it's a good idea to yeah, check the thickness, actual thickness, before and then see how much, right? How much it bounces back, right? So that um, you know what roll gap you need to set um, to, yeah. Okay, that's 2 millimeter. Yeah, that's 2 millimeter even. So there's a difference of like 0.5 millimeter, right? And so I think she's aiming to uh, cut it. I mean, thin it. I mean, the final thickness to be 1.7 millimeter, and because then so she set the roll gap to like 1.2, and then when the machine like thin the dough like that 1.2, then there's a 0.5 millimeter difference, right? So like the dough bounced back by 0.5 millimeter, and so the final thickness will be like 1.7, right? Okay, and yeah, and then we're gonna go into cutting more, and so we're gonna use this the cutter, and look at the back of the cutter, right? Like so, she said that the parts, right? Like that's a silicone plate, and this is a number 18 cutter, and that's 18, yeah, 18 cutter, and so the each strand of noodle, like the width is the controlled by the each group, right? Each like width of each group, right? And then the thickness is controlled by the roller gap, and so and the parts that she put in the back of the cutter, silicone plates, um, are going to block the noodles, and then block the noodles that are coming out of the cutter, right? And then yeah, they it helps the noodles to be curled in the process. Right, it's going in, right? Okay. So set that duster like right on the dough that's going into the dough sheet, like that's going to the cutter, right? So you can dust directly onto the dough that's going right to the cutter. And look at the curled noodles, right? Like they like pretty the yeah the level like curliness. How much like how cold do you want the noodles to be? It can be controlled. Yeah. Then also like you can control the serving size by changing the noodle length. Just it's very easy. Like you just touch that the volume, right? Volume. It's very easy to do that, and it's um, automatically making it curly on the noodles. And yeah, this is the kind of perfect curliness for kind of this type of noodle, like kind of miso ramen sort of. Um, kind of strong image, like again, like the Sapporo miso ramen kind of type of noodles. Yeah, this is a kind of perfect um, curliness that you want on your miso ramen noodles. So it's great that like she's catching the noodles, but she's taking noodles like at that height, so that it's very visible. Like the customers can see how you make noodles, and like yeah, it's because the customer can like clearly see what the noodle is coming out. So it's a very good kind of showcase like equipment that you can have like at your your restaurant, and you can literally showcase it to show it to the customer. Yeah, so this is the noodles that are really good for halal miso ramen, and we're gonna bring them to the kitchen right now and see our instructor and um, yeah, okay. This is our showroom, and this is our showroom, and then it's our kitchen, and yeah, so this is our kitchen, and this is where we in-person class, in-person like ramen course, and actually we've been doing like yeah, actual like real ramen course like every other month, like on and off, like here in Kagawa, and yeah, so we're lucky to have like Mr. Misano, our instructor, to show us the today like halal miso ramen. So thank you, Misano.
ではよろしくお願いします。で今日はハラル向けの味噌ラーメンを作っていきます。でハラルっていうのはイスラムの信者である人たちが、食べられる食品のことなんですけど、ハラルで禁止されているのが、豚肉だったり、条件に沿って処理されていない食肉だったり、アルコールだったりします。で、通常味噌ラーメンには禁止されているものが入ってます。この、色つけて書いているところになるんですけど、動物系の、スープも使っているので、そこもダメになるし、アルコールが入っている元ダレもちょっとダメになっちゃいます。
Okay, so yeah, halal miso ramen, like we're gonna do that today, and then so halal like they as I was talking about, right, like there are a lot of like ingredients that are not okay to be used, right, like, and well, namely pork, like animal meats, like seafood meats, like that are not treated like in the proper ways, and then the alcohol like we talked about, like I don't know, seasoning that use alcohol. So if you're making like regular miso ramen, like there are a lot of them that that are not okay, prohibited in the halal diet, right? And then so some like of course soup stock, right? There's like pork. I mean pork, like that's right there, right? I mean they're not okay. And tare, the miso dare and like vinegar, I mean they're like they contain like some alcohol content, so they're not okay to be used. So yeah, so we kind of convert all these like recipes into halal miso ramen.
でですね、禁止されている食材を使ったものをうまく他のもので代用していきます。
Yeah, so we just replace all these like prohibited like ingredients with ingredients that are okay to be used in halal ramen.
まずスープベースはこれ動物系使っているので、豆乳を代わりに使ってあげて深みを出します。
Yeah, so like for animal stock, based stock, right, that we use like in the regular miso ramen, like we replace them with the soy milk and water to like kind of richness.
で、元ダレの中の味噌ダレなんですけど、ここにもアルコールが入っているので、これをまたハラル対応に作り変えます。
Yeah, so white miso dare, like we use in the regular miso ramen, which contains the alcohol, right? So like we're gonna replace it with halal white miso dare.
それぞれ代用するんですけど、詳しい作り方はヤマトオンラインレシピとかヤマトラーメン学校の方で教えさせてもらってます。
Yeah, so we're gonna replace each of these like prohibited like ingredients with okay ingredients, right? Halal okay ingredients. And we're not gonna go into like details like how we make each of them, but like you can check out like our online course, right? Where you can find details like how you can make each of these ingredients and the components.
では実際に作っていきましょう。はい。
Okay, so let's start making halal miso ramen.
でまず元ダレですね。ここに出してるんですけど、これが一応ハラル代用の味噌ダレっていうのをまず作り替えました。
Okay, so that's a tare that we're gonna use, right? Like that's the miso tare, that's sort of like converted, like made for halal.
で、先ほどレシピにあった分量通りに元ダレを入れていきます。
Yeah, so as you saw in the recipe, like these ingredients and the amount, right, the volume we specified in the recipe, we're gonna add them to the bowl.
ちゃんと一個一個測りながら作っていきます。
Yeah, so like in our ramen slate, we weigh each of the ingredients, right, on the scale.
で、この味噌が 50g 入れてます。
Yeah, so the miso tare, like that's 50 grams, right?
で次、米酢が 3g 入れます。
And this is the rice vinegar, 3 grams.
で、合わせ酢っていうものがちょっとアルコールが入ってますので、アルコールの入ってないものに代用してます。
Yeah, so the blended vinegar that we had in the like regular miso ramen, like it contains alcohol, so like I'm using that one that does not have like any alcohol content.
で次、ナンプラーですね、1g 入れます。
This is the fish sauce, 1 gram.
で、醤油系の元ダレもハラル代用のものに変えてます。
And this is a soy sauce tare that we use, right? Like in the regular miso ramen, like the shoyu tare, like we use is like contains alcohol again, like so we changed it to the halal shoyu tare.
本来であれば醤油ダレちょっともう少し少ないんですけど、今回はスープベースがちょっと薄くなるので濃いめに入れてます。
Right, so usually like we don't use like this much of the soy sauce tare, but like like in the halal miso ramen, like this particular recipe, the soup stock is like kind of diluted, kind of like with the water. So like we're using a bit more of the soy tare this recipe.
で、塩ベースの元ダレも入れます。
And this salt based, the tare, right? And then like this particular salt based tare like kombu.
で、スイートチリも入れてちょっとピリッとさせます。
Yeah, so this is a sweet chili, 4 grams, and just make it like a little spicy.
で、これで元ダレがすべて合わさりました。
Right, so like this is the old motodare that we use for this particular dish.
で、一旦麺を入れます。
Right, so once you do that, right, once you're done with that, let's start cooking the noodles.
先ほど作ってもらった麺ですね。
Yeah, so I'm gonna use the freshly made noodles.
場所移動しますね。で、しっかり沸騰しているお湯に入れます。
Yeah, so you can't emphasize it enough, but like every time like we do this, like we say it, but like make sure that like water is boiling before you add the noodles in, right? Because a lot of people, even even like professional chefs, don't know how to cook noodles properly. So we can't emphasize it enough to be for those who want to serve like good noodles. To make sure that like water is boiling, like rolling boiling before you put the noodles in.
で、麺を入れたら温度が下がるので再沸騰をちょっと待ちます。
Yeah, especially this is like very thick noodles, and so like when you put the noodles in, right, the water temperature like drops, right? So like we want to make sure that like the boiling again after you put the noodles before
でですね、再沸騰したら少しポコポコするくらいで落ち着かせます。
And if when you re-boil it, you need to bring the re-boiling. it's make sure that it's like the temperature is not the heat is not too strong, right? The water is kind of simmering, and then that's yeah. So adjust the heat and yeah, just leave it.
で次にここに今全て元だれが入っているので、その上に香味を入れます。
Right. So tare is in there, like all the tare is in there. So like on top of it, like I'm adding the flavored oil.
ね、で元だれと香味油が入りました。
Yeah. So the flavored oil are like pre-mixed.
で続いてスープを温めます。
Okay. I'm gonna start warming the base stock.
ここには豆乳とお水と昆布の出汁が入ってます。
Okay. So there's water in there, soy milk, and kelp dashi.
あと輪切りにした唐辛子を入れて少し切り。
Yeah. Do you think like you may notice in the pot is that's the chili pepper. It's kind of chopped up and yeah, kind of those red thing.
ね、スープを温めて同時にトッピングのお野菜も温めます。
Okay, so once we warmed up like the stock, base stock, right, and we wanna have the toppings kind of warm too, like kind of heat it, like well, I only cooked it before, but like I just want to make sure that they're hot, right?
こちらに大豆ミートを使ってます。
And for the toppings, like these kind of meat looking things, right? These are yeah, these are kind of well the meat plant-based meat with like they're made of like soybeans. Right, so
スープ入れます。
running the base stock, right?
お味噌混ぜながらね伸ばしていきます。
And make sure that like you just kind of keep stirring the miso tare while you add the base stock.
で麺も茹で上がったので湯切りします。
Right, so noodles is done, right? So make sure you strain the water out of the noodles, like otherwise, the water on the noodles, like that is gonna dilute the soup, right? So that's bad. So make sure that like like you strain the water out of the noodles like as much as you can before you add them to the soup, right?
ね、で麺が入ったのでこの上に野菜をのせます。
Okay, so I'm gonna plate the vegetables.
でポイントとしては麺が見えないようにトッピングをしっかりのせます。
And so the tip of the like tipping like tipping the plating is that like you make sure that like you hide all the noodles right with the toppings.
この上にですね、卵ものせます。
And I'm placing the flavored eggs, right? Flavored eggs. Again, like eggs are okay, right? It's not halal, eggs are okay, and
で高さが足りないので白髪ネギをのせてあげます。
and we want some height, right? Well, like some height on the topping. So we like to place some like this. These are like leeks, leeks like chopped up like in this way, and then like kind of like yeah, kind of assemble all the leeks, right? Like piece of leeks to yeah to look like this.
で緑を足してあげた方が綺麗に締まるので緑を足します。
And I think we need green, right? Like we need green in here to sort of yeah kind of balance them out, like balance it, like all the colors out, like so.
ちょっと後ろ持っていきますね。こちらで完成になります。ラー油ちょっと添えてます。
So that's the halal miso ramen, bowl of halal miso ramen. And depending on like how well some people like spicy. So I had this yeah the chili oil on the side, right? So this is a halal miso ramen, and depending on like how you choose your ingredients, right, and how you subtract all these ingredients, and then like kind of adjust them with the alternative, yeah, ingredients, right? And then you could make it like vegan, you could make it the Buddhist vegetarian diet, like suitable this ramen, right? Again, but like miso is like pretty very good. I mean, has like a lot of like health benefits, and then I think it's catching on like the different region people like different people like different diets. So yeah, miso is like something really good, but like kind of hard to uh, think about like miso ramen like when it's like really hot, right? Like it's like people have image of like having miso ramen like during winter, like cold days. But I think this miso ramen, right? I think it's very good for during the hot days as well. And yeah, and then halal, again, like 1.8 billion people out there, and so this is a huge market. So the more ramen dishes that you come up with, like for halal people, like like people with the halal diets, the bigger the market you have, right, for your ramen business. So and then we've been like constantly coming up with these recipes, right? And then um, as as Misano said, right? It's like all these components, right? Like each of the components, like the tare and base stock, and then like flavor oil. Like we actually teach like how to make each of them, or each of the like in details, right? On that online course. Once you learn how to make all these, right, and then the rest is easy. Like rest is like just you are just combining them right at different ratios, and depending on like what you're making, right? For halal diet or for vegan diets, or like or you name it, right? So yeah, so yeah, we teach like all the basics, and we teach like all the how you can apply them, right, in different situations, like for halal, for vegan. So yeah, once you learn all these basics, and then and then you of course we help you guys to reach and how to how you can apply, right, in like making a variety of different ramen dishes, and depending on like what you're looking for, what your customers are looking for. So that's what we teach, like our online course and e-learning. So yeah, if you're interested in, like, please check it out. And all the courses, all the curriculums are available right now. And so, and and of course, like we are doing in-person real driving school as well. Like, and then the next class will be like in September. And for those of you who are coming from overseas, like the Japan may be wide open around that time. Like right now, like we are kind of going down with the like increased number like COVID, but like we'll come back probably like in a month or so. So please consider coming to a real course, like in-person course as well. And please consider checking out, at least checking out, right, our online ramen course as well, right? So and then yeah, so we're gonna be doing all these more of these right ramen dishes, like kind of well depending on what you're looking for, and then so if you have some ideas like you guys want us to explore, then we'll be more than happy to do that, and then share this with you guys like in this event. So please do that. Like if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, and if you like this kind of content, like please hit the like button, and we'll see you guys in the next class. So until then, please stay healthy and please stay cool. So thank you very much. Bye bye.
ありがとうございます。